Welcome to the We Geek Together podcast. I am Andy, the Tavern Keeper, and this is...
Hi, I'm Nixie. I am the Night Tavern Keeper.
Yes, Nixie, you work with me in the tavern.
Yes, I do, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I see how this is going to start already. We work together. We are employees at a game store, and that's what I wanted to talk about today, what it's like to be an employee at a game store. I think it's actually a pretty unique job. But before we get into that, let's get into the first round of drinks. First round of drinks, we talk about whatever's new, whatever is happening to us. So what is happening in your world, Nixie?
Been getting really into The Expanse.
The Expanse? What is The Expanse?
It's a really interesting TV show on Amazon.
Oh, I don't know it.
So it's a sci-fi, and what I really liked about it is that the science is actually accurate. So like when they pour liquid into a cup, it actually spins like how it would in 0 G's or very low gravity. That's really cool.
Interesting. So they've done some research.
A lot of research, which is what makes me so happy about it. It's really, really good.
I like those kind of fictions where the writers go the extra mile to really immerse in reality what could be happening, and it really gives a narrative a lot of teeth. Because if you know, like, this is real, like, the consequences feel a lot more real versus, like, timey-wimey kind of stuff. Yeah. It's really hard to get into the stakes for that, for me, because it's timey-wimey BS.
Yeah, I agree. I've been really interested in it
No
so
shots
far.
against Doctor Who, by the way, because that was kind of shots against
Doctor Who. I
Doctor
grew up on Doctor Who. It was one of my favorite shows. I have an entire scene of that show memorized.
It's awesome.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
But the Expanse is very, very different. It's not as, timey-wimey stuff. It's more, let's see if we can make this work in actual science terms. But let's stretch it, like, significantly and try to deal with an actual story.
That sounds really cool.
It is pretty cool.
That sounds really
I'm
cool.
really interested in it lately. It's really good.
I'm going to have to check that out. Let me see what's happening with me. Boy, am I getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! So after the Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle Royale will have happened by the time this episode comes out. But I have been building a current meta deck. And so I even played against people at our store. And we'll get into what it's like playing games as a game store employee. Excuse me.
Is it like based off of Kayaba since you have the coat?
It's not I wish. I do dress up though. Every time I duel, I do dress up as Kaiba at the event, which is super cringe. Absolutely.
Well, cringe is like the best way to go about it. If you're having
but it's
fun,
Yu-Gi-Oh! Like,
then yeah, I did watch a couple
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is
clips.
pretty cringe, which is why it's awesome.
Yes.
All right, so that's first round of drinks. Let's get into the main topic today, which is working at a game store. What it's like, the good, the bad, the ugly. But first, let's talk about how did you get a job at the game store? Because I feel like your origin stories, how we met at We Geek Together, is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so it is not a conventional story. So I'm actually from Arizona. I grew up in Arizona, lived my whole life in Arizona, and I was offered a job from my uncle, who's an artist, to come work for him. And I would be living with him at the time that I was working for him.
Here in Utah?
Here in Utah. So I took a complete gamble, a complete chance on it, spent like $1,000, moved all the way up here to, work with my uncle. And it didn't go well. It kind of fell through, but I was looking for friends and stuff, and I needed to kind of meet people here since I'm not from this state. I didn't know anyone other than my uncle. And I ended up searching for game stores because I'm a huge nerd, and so game stores were like the go-to safe option.
Yeah, it's a place you could find people.
Exactly. So I started searching. I came up with like a bunch of, the typical ones that you hear about. And then I actually saw yours. It was actually the last one that I had gone to.
Uh-huh.
And I had gone to I think 15 different stores that day.
I didn't know you had gone to all these different stores.
Yeah, I had gone to all of these different stores
wow,
before that.
so you did a tour of game stores.
I did. I went to a lot of game stores. I don't even remember all the names, but yeah, I went to multiple places and places that claimed that they were game stores, but were video game stores. But
important distinction.
Important distinction. Unfortunately, Google doesn't always
True.
filter that.
True.
So I ended up coming here. I ended up looking around, trying to make friends and stuff like that. I actually ran into you the first time.
I remember that.
I even said hey, I'm new to town. Hi. I don't remember much more than that as far as the first interaction. But since the job that I was working with ended up falling through pretty quickly, I heard about your Dungeons, was it DM program?
Yeah,
Yeah, is that what we call it?
professional dungeon masters.
Yeah, professional dungeon master. I was trying to remember the word for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and give it a try. I like DMing. Let's see what happens. Did the interview, got the job.
We hired
So
ya.
excited.
Yeah. So we did interviews for pro DMs. So we hire people who want to be a dungeon master. For anybody who walks into the store, you can play D&D, and that's one of our core values, one of the things we offer that's unique, I feel like, to our game store. And so you applied for that.
Yep.
I remember you came in a few times to the game store, and then you heard about the program, and you were like, oh, hey, I'm interested. I'm a dungeon master.
Yeah, I actually had become a regular at that point because I came into the game store, I'd say, every single week.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any other places to go. And, I thought this place was so fun. And I was starting to make friends. I was like, this is the perfect spot. This is where I need to go. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and try the DMing thing.
Yeah.
And I was very nervous during my interview.
I mean, it's an interview. It's hard to...
I studied for that interview. What is that? Oh.
Pause.
Everything okay?
Hello?
Sorry.
Is it a ghost?
I'm grabbing something for Mom because she's leaving. And this
Oh,
is
okay.
hers.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Technical difficulties. Anyway,
I studied for that interview. Is where we left.
Yeah, I studied for the interview. So I told my friends that I was applying to be a dungeon master, and they got really excited, and they were like, all right,
good
so
luck.
Friday, we are meeting up together, and you're going to run a test game. I'm like, all right, cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so they sat down, and I ran a test game for them. I had all kinds of fun little things I had planned and stuff like that. We did it. The adventure that we ran, it was the one before the Dead Wars. It was the Shadow one. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, Shadow over Grimsby.
That's what it was. Yes, Shadow over Grimsby. I
Throwback to
added-
Call of Cthulhu.
Yes. I went with that one because it's horror, and that
Yep.
happens to be right up my alley. And I added a rain mechanic. So as they were running to the place, there was rain that was coming down, which was causing the fires that they had to light every once in a while to go out. So they couldn't stay in one spot.
Which was very unique. Nobody had done anything like that because I provide the adventure. And then I say, do whatever you want with the adventure. Surprise us. And that was pretty surprising.
Yes, I was trying to be creative and spooky. And I ended up getting the job, and I was so excited.
Yeah, so we hired you as a professional DM.
Mhm.
You came in once a week and ran an adventure.
Once a week to twice a week, because I do remember I came in on Thursdays and Fridays usually. Sometimes even Saturdays if you really needed somebody.
Yeah, yeah. And so you were a pro DM for quite a bit. And then I needed more staff for the game store. I needed somebody who can help close the store. I needed a night person. And I needed somebody who I could trust, somebody who I saw had good work ethic, and also somebody who was personable. And so here's a good thing for you, because I have gotten so many applications since we've opened of people who want to work at a game store. Working at a game store, working in a nerd space is a really cool idea. It's a cool job.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. However, there's a high demand, as in there's a lot of people who want to get into this. I can tell you as a game owner, the people I want to hire are the people who I kind of already know. if I know you and I know your work ethic and I know your personality, I'm much more likely to hire you. So, pro tip, if you want to get a job at a local game store or honestly, any kind of job, if you go to that job or go to that space and you become a regular and you implement yourself into the community and you do things in the store, you're like, hey, I can help run your Yu-Gi-Oh night, or I can help I can help you run your D&D games or something like that. Like game stores, there's always so many different things that game stores are looking at. So you could be like, hey, do you guys have Pathfinder? I'll run Pathfinder every Friday night. Let me put up a sign and I'll just run it. And then, I'll just bring in people for you. And then you'll build a relationship with the game store employees, with the game store owner. And like, that's why I hired you. Like, because you checked all the boxes. You're awesome. We already had a working relationship, and I knew there was no risk in hiring you. You're a good employee. You're a good person.
I try my best. Thank you.
So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. If people are looking for jobs in a geeky space, take the initiative, do stuff for them instead of just walking in and saying, "Hey, are you guys hiring?"
Right. The other thing is to also know what you're talking about too. I feel like that's a very big, important part.
Yeah, so now you got the job. Now
Yeah!
you're working.
Woo!
Now you're working. Jeez, we probably peaked that audio. I'm sorry, Spencer.
I get loud, unfortunately.
So yeah, now you're working at a local game store. A very interesting job.
Mhm.
We're in the nerdy space. So let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about, the interesting things. What's a good aspect?
Well, personally, I love working at the game store. I'm just going to preface all of this because I will be talking about some bad stuff. I'm going to preface this by saying I absolutely love working here. It is actually the best job I've ever had. And I've worked a lot of jobs. So good stuff. The people are fantastic for the most part. I have made tons of friends here. And honestly, the nerdy community is a community, and it's a very tight-knit community. And if you find somebody that is a nerd about the same thing that you are,
it's really cool.
It's really cool. It's like pretty much instant friendship right there.
Yeah, because you have something in common that
You
you
do.
can relate with them.
And it's usually a pretty big thing that you have in common. Like, oh, you like Doctor Who? I love Doctor Who. Oh, you like D&D? I love D&D.
Yeah,
Let's talk about our characters and what your backstory is.
Have you done this in D&D before? Yeah, you can immediately start talking on the same level, which is huge.
Well, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan, and so I wear my Lovecraft sweater most of the time. I'm not wearing it today, but when I see somebody who points out my sweater, I'm like, yes, you know what this is. That's so cool. And you just geek out about it.
Yeah.
You're like, yes, it's so much fun.
Yeah. I completely agree. I love being in the nerdy space and being able to like celebrate these nerdy things with other people who appreciate the things that I do. Because usually in the common day world, when I talk about like D&D or that kind of stuff, it goes over some people's heads.
Yeah, it does.
Geek culture is becoming bigger, which is great. But there's still like you throw out Call of Cthulhu or that kind of stuff. Not many people not a lot of the general public know about these kind of things. So it's really cool to connect with people on that fun, nerdy stuff that we're passionate about.
It is. Like, I have a cousin who I was talking to the other day about, what I do at the store because he was curious. And I mentioned that we have a Fey-door quest where you have to go find all of the little fairy doors that are scattered throughout the store and how it's so much fun to see little kids get excited as they do it. And he looked at me and goes, "What is a Fey?" And I'm like, oh, okay. I gotta sit here and explain some stuff.
Yeah. Not many people really get, Fae, for example. That's a somewhat of an obscure reference.
It is. So I had to sit there and explain to him what it was, and he had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, but the people who do know about
but
that.
the people who do know are like, that's so cool. Oh my gosh, I have to go find Fey doors? That's cool.
Okay, let's talk about the quest real quick because those are so funny. We have 2 quests in the store right now. We have a fairy door quest, the Fey door quest. You got to find some fairy doors in our store, and they're hidden. They're not too like if you look around, you'll find them. And it's it's a kind of simple quest. Like we send children on this quest.
Yes, we do send children on this quest.
Do you want to add to that?
Some adults struggle with this quest. I have met many adventurers where I'm like, all right, adventurer, you must seek out the Fey doors, but be careful, for I have heard tale of another Fey in this store who will ask you for your name in turn for a location for the door. And I cannot tell you how many people have actually just completely ignored that warning.
Oh, yeah.
Sought out the person that I was talking about, and then asked.
Gave them their name.
I'm
Which,
like,
if you don't know anything about Fae or fairy culture, you do not want to give them your name because it gives them power and they can do terrible things to you. So, yeah, we have a regular who pretends he's like
the Fae,
part of the Fae.
Because he's got like the mustache
He's
and
got
the look and stuff.
the most evil mustache
Oh,
you've
yeah.
ever seen.
It's like
he
Snidely
waxes-
Whiplash.
Like Captain Hook is disgraced by this guy's mustache. But yeah, so he's like, oh, well, if you tell me your name, I'll write it in my book, and then I'll tell you where one of the doors are. But yeah, it's so funny to watch like little kids who get the quest and they can find it, and then we have some adults who like, no offense to the adults, like understandably.
Oh, yeah.
But like they struggle. They're like, where are the doors?
I had like one adventurer who
maybe it's
because
because we hide them low.
I think that might
so
be it.
It's easy
they
for
don't
kids
look
to
low.
see. So pro tip: if you're looking for the fairy doors, look down.
Yes. Look down. Look down.
We have a much harder quest too. Like it takes a bit of work to do this quest, and so rightfully so, this one stumps and tricks people up. But when they figure it out, it's really cool that they like you have to be paying attention. There's things in the store that you have to decode and observe. Like you really actually have to be thinking and working on this quest. Like the fairy door you can kind of do on autopilot. You're just looking for fairy doors, but this quest you actually have to think and work towards it. So kind of like an escape room.
One of the really awesome things about our quest too is you actually get a reward for completing the quest.
A free reward.
Yes, a free reward. So we have this little bag of treasure, and so when children complete the Fedor quest, I pull out the bag of treasure and I'm like, behold, adventurer, you have completed the quest, and thus you are due a reward. Behold, I have placed down a multitude of treasures. You may select one and only one to accompany you out of the store.
Shinies.
Very shiny. And then they get so excited and their eyes light up and they're like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I get a treasure and I get to keep this! And then the parents usually are like, wait, for reals? They get to keep it? I'm like, yeah, they get to keep it.
Yeah.
That's the reward.
I really like that. All right. Let's talk about a bad. Let's talk about a bad. Tell me, what is one thing that is not fun to deal with in a game store?
I hate that the stereotype is true, but...
What's the stereotype?
Odor.
Yeah.
I really hate that stereotype is sometimes pretty true.
There can be some sweaty nerds for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why we have a tavern rule now.
We do. I'm going to tell you right now, not everybody follows it.
Not everybody follows it, for
And
sure.
It can be very difficult to deal with that situation, too, because you don't want to make the person embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're getting complaints, you got to do something.
Yeah, you got to talk to those people. You know, like... Yeah, that's something we have to deal with.
It unfortunately is.
Yeah.
And another thing that is a little frustrating to deal with. I don't hate you, Andy.
Give it to me.
You are a scatterbrain.
Oh, yeah, I'm so scatterbrained.
You are very scatterbrained. And
boy.
Sometimes keeping track of where everything is can be a little difficult. I have a list in my phone.
You and Dom have created a calendar for me.
Yep.
That you guys update for me. You're like, all right, Andy, you got a meeting at this time with this person,
yep.
and then you got this thing at this thing. Because I am super scatterbrained. I'm in so many different directions. So I'm glad that I have you guys in to like keep me down on the planet. Otherwise, I don't think anything would get done. Because I'm in so many different places.
You are running around all of the time, and you're always doing something. I don't think I ever see you just sit still doing nothing.
No, I know.
And so because you're always doing something, you focus on the thing, and then you get distracted by another thing. And so, yeah, we have
Yeah.
to kind of compensate for that. And that can be a little difficult, but I think I've started to get into the rhythm of how to do it with you. So
Thank you for putting up with me.
it's I'm a little scatterbrained too. So
Yeah, so it's not
I
helpful.
understand. I understand because I get it. I have the same problems. So, yeah.
But it's really cool. So me as somebody who runs this business, right? I have so many things on my plate, so many things I'm trying to do, and so me learning to let go, to delegate, to give more and more to my
Mhm.
team and my people, it's definitely a learning curve for me, for sure. But
Yes.
it's been like the longer we all work together, you, me, Everett, Dom, the longer we all work together, the better we are getting and the more things are getting organized and things are getting done. So I'm really lucky I work with a good team.
Yep. Dom and I have learned I learned it pretty quickly after I started working here. If I want to do something and to take on a task that I know you're dealing with and you're kind of struggling with, I don't ask. I just
You
tell
just
you
do
that
it.
this is the thing that I'm
You're
doing.
like, all right, I'm organizing this whole space here.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh great. That needed to get done. So have at it.
Well, because, there's so much going on. I'm like, you know what? Just do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then it gets done. You don't have to
I'll
worry
never
about it.
say no.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time I'll never say no.
I don't think there's anything that you have said no about me
No.
taking care of.
We'll see if that holds in the future. But right now, no, I love it. All right, let's talk about an interesting story, something unique, weird, oddball. Is there anything that has happened to you that you're like, that was weird?
So,
I'm putting you on the spot here. So
first of all, I hear all kinds of weird stuff in the store, which is normal.
I mean, we're tavern keepers.
We are
right?
tavern keeper. I overhear everything, every little bit of drama,
Little
everything.
gossip here.
Yeah, I hear about all of it. I do have one incident that was a little spooky at night.
Ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't great. So, I was taking care of the tavern
Uh-huh.
like I normally do, and it was pretty late,
Okay.
and the mall closes earlier than the store does.
Yeah, mall closes at 8. We stay open until 10:30 or 11.
At this point, it was like 11-ish. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
coming
Pretty
up
close
on
to-
11.
Yeah.
But I let people come in until the store is like closed.
Yeah.
Because, people come in and drift in, usually from the movie theater.
Yep.
So this guy ends up drifting in. And I don't know, something kind of like was wrong about him.
Just off.
Just off. Like there was
Uh-huh.
nothing I could pinpoint. It just, that guy seems weird. Luckily, I had a group of players that was actually sitting in the tavern right next to where I was, and I was just taking care of normal closing duties. And this guy kept asking questions and kind of getting in my face a lot. And I'm a very small woman.
Yeah.
So this guy was like a little bit taller than you.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was a pretty big guy. And so I had to keep taking steps back to keep my distance. And I just kept keeping an eye on him the whole time.
Yeah.
And he had wandered around the store doing normal stuff. I'm like, he hasn't done anything wrong. I can't exactly do anything.
Yeah.
So I just kept an eye on him. And he ended up, my eyes went off of him for 1 second. It was a split second because I had to take care of something. Another customer asked for my help. And so I had to go deal
So
with
you're
that.
helping a customer.
Yes, and he had ducked behind one of the little display things, the
kiosks. Yeah.
and popped back up, ended up getting in my face one last time, and then left.
So he like hides himself for a
Yeah,
minute.
and I kind of like looked over and I was
And
like,
you saw
"Hey,"
him hide himself.
I did, and I was like, "Hey, is there anything? Are you okay? Everything all right?" And I started to walk over there, and he kind of like popped
Gets
back up. And got in my face again, and then ended up leaving. So the next day, you gave me a call.
I know what happened here.
Yeah, and I got a call from you and the police
The police.
mentioning that something had gotten stolen at the store.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually, when you called, I was freaking the hell out. I'm like, oh my God, what got stolen? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did I do?
So we had security footage of him grabbing like a $80 Commander deck, Magic the Gathering deck.
Yeah, he did. And I almost caught him. I was that close, but I took
Right
my
when he
eye
ducked out of view.
right when he ducked
Yeah.
out of
Well,
view.
well, so when you lost eye, he grabbed it and then he ducked out of view to like stuff it in his
Yep.
coat.
Yep, he did.
Luckily,
So-
we got it on footage.
Yeah, which is great.
And it was good that you had, like, you paid attention. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, late at night, the shift's almost over, how tempting it would be to just be like, all right, well, I'm just going to scroll through TikTok, you know?
I have learned. So I usually actually work nights.
Mm.
It's weird. Every single job that I've worked since high school, I have been working nights. And when I say night, I'm working pretty late. Like I used to work at an old folks' home in a bad area,
Wow.
and I wouldn't get home until like midnight. So I'm used to
You're
being.
a night owl.
I'm a night owl.
Mm.
I'm used to being up at night, and so you have to be alert.
You're
You
paying
have to be paying
attention.
attention. You have to
Yeah.
know what's going on, because that's when, if you don't, sometimes spooky
Something can happen.
something can happen. And I actually, for the most part, instances like that are actually rare. For
Yeah.
the most part, the night is very, very calm and quiet. And usually the people that stick behind are the regulars that I know very well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of which are actually my friends.
Yeah, so that was kind of a standout moment.
It
for
was
sure.
a standout moment, which is why when you said weird stuff, I'm like, well, there was this.
Oh yeah, somebody stole something.
I
It was
felt-
actually really creepy
I
around
was so
me.
freaked out, especially since the police were calling me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
They just walked
oh
into
my
our store
God.
in the middle of the day and they're like, we need to talk to you about a robbery. And I'm like, oh shoot. It
Yeah.
wasn't me, officer, I swear.
I'll be honest. So I know for a fact that I don't steal. And yet, it's like one of those things where you walk through like TSA and you're like, did I somehow pack a gun?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're just
Do I have
automatically
drugs?
guilty. Yeah, you're like, oh shoot.
Is it me? What did I do?
What did I do wrong?
Like, I know I haven't
That's
done
so funny.
anything. But when a cop calls you, you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've also worked some outside events with us. So
Yes.
not just the store, but you've gone to FanX and Dragon Steel, some of our biggest events last
Yep.
year.
It was huge.
What's it like being at an event?
It's pretty crazy. It is. So, okay. Other people see it as just fun, and it is fun, but it's
I
a
love events.
lot of work.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is so much fun. It's a lot of work. For the Dragon Steel event specifically, I actually, confession, have only read one Brandon Sanderson novel. And so I didn't know most of the stuff. So what I was doing was actually listening to what people were saying through context clues and talking to people, pretending that I knew what I was talking about.
You're like, oh, I totally know the Storm of Isles.
Yeah. Oh, you have a plant growing out of your head. Wow, that must be a real serious medical condition. Turns out it is. But I didn't know, so I was having to
Take it till you make it.
I was having to get really creative and pay attention. While I was like, I should probably read some of these books because I only read one, and it was The Arithmetist, which apparently is not the best.
Yeah, events are so interesting to me because they're like so high energy. Like you get there and it's go, 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 set up. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
by the time you're set up, it's like sell, customer service. And you do that the entire day.
Mhm.
You know, you might get like a soft pretzel or like a hot dog for food.
That
'cause
pretzel tasted so good by the end of the day.
just crappy convention food. You get
Yeah.
whatever you can. And then it's go, go, go. And then finally it's close. And then after close, it's like pack, throw it in the car. And then you get home and you're like,
I'm
I'm
dead.
dead. It's like
Yeah.
6 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Oh yeah.
It's just like go the entire day. And it's like a really cool energy,
Oh yeah.
but it's so draining.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I like to dress up for when we do conventions
Yeah,
and
and you
stuff.
have some really fun characters.
I try my best because I find it is better to talk to people when I'm playing a character. So things like that, we ended up doing. I think my first one was actually FanX.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day I did like $6,000 in sales. It was a lot. It was
Yeah.
a long day.
Yeah.
And you're on your feet the whole time, and you are shouting and having to speak really loudly so that, people can hear you. Luckily, I'm a theater kid, so I was able to project, which helped save my
Speak
voice.
from the diaphragm.
Yes, because otherwise, your voice is gonna be gone.
Yeah.
And even then, I think I had no water that day. I lived off of soda.
Yeah. Oh man, the con crunch is so real. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
and
is.
then it's like I'm gonna go to the line and stand in line for a half hour just to get a slice of pizza.
Mhm.
And so then you get pizza for the whole crew, and it's crappy pizza, but you're like, thank goodness we have pizza.
But for some reason, though, even though it's absolutely crap food, after a day like that, it tastes heavenly, despite how bad it is. Like, that pretzel, legitimately, I enjoyed it because I was so tired and hungry and like, oh my gosh. It was a great
Food.
event, though.
Oh, so fun.
It was so much fun, and I met some really awesome people and really awesome creators, too. That's one of the things that is really cool about
yeah,
events.
you saw the Duke.
I did. I gave Christopher Polini a potato and then ran away. And
the potato army.
the potato army will continue and will be
Yeah,
strong.
well, we might tell about the potato
Yeah,
army
that's a whole
later.
different story. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like outside events. All right, let's do another bad.
Another bad.
Yeah, let's get into the
I'm trying to
bad.
think of all of the things because I know I have stories. It's just kind of hard to remember them. Oh, this one is when I was a dungeon master.
Oh, okay.
So we actually had a family come in. I think you remember this.
Oh, I do remember this one.
Yeah,
I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We had a family come in. And so being a dungeon master, a lot of people think it's just you kind of telling a story and making stuff up as you go. That is not what it is. You have to be constantly reading the people around you to make sure that they're engaged, having fun, and that they're not getting tired.
Yeah, you're a coach, you're a facilitator.
Yup.
You're if your players aren't having fun or if they're uncomfortable, any DM with their salt will be monitoring this.
Yes, you have to be constantly monitoring that and running the game and handling all of your monsters and what it is that is going on. And if you add a little extra flavor like I do, you have to be paying attention to that so the continuity makes sense.
Yep.
So I had a family come in, and most of the time, I rarely have anybody that is bad.
Problem players.
I rarely have a problem.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky since it's a pay to play. It encourages better behavior because I'm not gonna be a jerk if I just spent $15. Like I'm actually gonna somewhat care about the game. I'm gonna invest myself because I paid $15 and I committed to a 2-hour slot. So it actually helps weed out some of the problem players just right there.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Unfortunately, you still occasionally get some. And so this family came in, and it was a father, a daughter, and the mother. And the father was very much... So a lot of players, especially parents, have the problem of taking control of their child's character. And that is what this father had done or was trying to do, and kind of getting angry at his daughter for not doing what he thought was the most optimal thing in the particular encounter that they were in. Micromanaging, yeah. She was playing a druid, and she wanted to turn into a bear, but he wanted her to cast a different spell instead.
Got it.
And so he was getting upset at her, and tensions were getting really, really high. And the daughter actually started to cry, and I had to stop it and try to figure out how to diffuse the situation, because daughter's upset, mom is frustrated, dad is angry.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think you got involved actually with that one.
Yeah, you came over to me and you're like, this one, we need some help here.
I tried my best to calm down the daughter. It was kind of difficult because the dad was really angry and yelling at the girl. And so calming her down and kind of calming him down at the same time can be very, very difficult. So I gave her some stuff to color to try to get her to calm down while you handled talking to the dad.
Smart.
Which did help. She was able to draw and kind of get herself to cool off a little bit. And eventually the parents did apologize. Future instances were not as bad, but apparently I was not the only dungeon master that had a problem with that family.
Yeah, and then this is kind of the nature of if you have a paid service, you can't control the customers that are going to come in, and so like I said, it does cut down on problem players, but it's not going to guarantee you won't have problem players for sure.
Yeah,
And
that's
so, I think the important thing, and I think you handled it very well because you came to me and you said, "Hey, this is happening. I need help diffusing it," and I was able to help diffuse, and you diffused, and so that just speaks to the culture. I would say that's really important for a game store is if you notice a table that's really stressed, or if you notice a player who's causing stress to other people, as a staff member, it's really important that you diffuse that situation, you warn whoever's causing the problem to cause a problem, because if you just sit behind the counter, you're like, "Hey, it's not my problem. I'm just the cashier. They're doing whatever they do." It will poison your culture from the inside.
Yeah, and then they will have a bad experience, and they will tell other people that they had a bad experience.
And other people at the table will have bad experiences, and those you'll lose those regulars. And so monitoring your culture, I really talk. Monitoring your culture is super important for the game store's health. So yeah. All right, let's finish off this topic of working at a game store. Here's the big question. Do you play a lot of games at a game store?
Yes and no.
Yes?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So most of the time it is work. I am working on various things, handling the store, monitoring the people, doing all that stuff. But we do occasionally do interviews for our dungeon masters.
True.
And during those interviews, I get to play a character, and I
True.
like to try to stump them with a really weird character.
So they have to wait, that's so evil because you had to do the dungeon master
Oh yeah, I
interview.
know.
And so now future dungeon masters, you're like, I'm gonna screw you.
I go with the most wacky, out there, kind of weird character.
Oh my goodness, so they have to roll with it?
Yes.
That's so mean.
Because it does tell me, though. It does tell me a lot
Right.
about how they handle getting involved with a character that is out there. Because at the store, I hear all kinds of stories about their characters.
We get some weird
We get some weird
characters.
stuff.
Winnie
So I'm
the
like,
Moo.
Winnie the Moo is amazing. And
Winnie the Moo.
Winnie the Moo
One of the most
is
legendary
amazing.
characters we've ever seen.
He is a legend.
Literally.
He is a legend.
Literally one of our most powerful characters ever.
I think the most powerful.
I'm one of the most, if not the most.
Yeah. But so throwing them off kind of gives me an idea of, how they handle things that are unexpected in the game. Which does help me evaluate whether or not they're a good fit. Most of the time, I've only had one or two that were kind of not very good at it. But most dungeon masters can handle it.
But you don't get much time to play.
I don't. I get maybe an hour or half an hour, depending on the dungeon master.
For the interview.
For the interview.
But not many. You're like, it's not Thursday, and you're like, well, I'm gonna go sit down and play some locals.
Nope. I wish.
And that's kind of the sad reality that working at a game store has been, because I'm like, man, if I open up a game store, that justifies me playing games.
It does the exact opposite.
No, we're too busy.
Yeah, I hear all of the games that go on. There's this one game that I've been really getting into that one of our dungeon masters brings into the store every once in a while, called Blades in the Dark.
Oh yeah,
so much fun. I love it more than D&D. I'm sorry, Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, we love all TTRPGs.
I love D&D. It's one of my favorite games. I love Blades in the Dark more.
Blades in the Dark's really cool.
So I hear their adventures. I'm like, man, I really want to play. I can't. I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm taking care of this. So as much as it sounds like, working at a game store, you get to play games. No.
No. Yeah. And that's the harsh reality is I haven't played any D&D games. I line up the interviews to you guys.
Yep.
So I can keep on working. So it's funny, I opened up the biggest TTRPG game space, and I don't get much of a chance to play.
Which, that's just unfortunately how it goes.
How the dice roll.
And unfortunately the dice do not always roll in your favor.
No.
But
it's still really fun.
Oh, it's a blast. I love working here. When I say that it is the best job I've ever had, that's not me exaggerating. It's certainly not me lying to the podcast. I can tell you that.
Here's your $20.
Thank you, and no, I absolutely love it here. When I say that it is my home, I mean that it is my home. I do have a place that I live, but this is my home.
Yeah, I agree. This is my second home. I do have a home and a lovely family. But I really do enjoy coming to work. It's an absolute treat every day to see the regulars, to hear in their adventures, to be able to like share in this experience. It's so cool.
Well, and it's not just like the people who come in and the adventures that you hear all the time. Like the people that I work with are fantastic most of the time.
Good.
Dom is a
Most
butt,
of the
but he's
time.
great.
And I'm very scatterbrained, and that's okay.
And that's all right. Everyone in the store has their own quirks.
Oh yeah.
And you just kind of learn how how their quirks work, and you just get to know them.
Well said. Well said. Well, let's do our last call for drinks. This is where we just talk about where you can find us. Hey, you can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the social medias, Facebook, where we geek together. And we're getting ready for the Dead Wars. In fact, registration is now open. So if you want to be part of the world's biggest TTRPG game ever, you need to sign up on your tickets now, because no doubt they're going to fill up pretty quick. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming out. Are you working on anything?
Actually, yes, I am. So I don't have a YouTube channel to promote just yet, but I am working on an animation for the Dead Wars to help promote it.
Ooh.
It will be like an animatic, not as fluid as an animation, but stay tuned.
I can't wait to see it, because I haven't seen anything of it.
No, I like to keep my cards close to my chest until my project
Until it's ready.
is ready, because I'm very shy about my art, especially projects that I'm very passionate about, and I'm very passionate about this one.
So we will definitely be sharing it as soon as it's ready.
As soon as it's ready, I'm hoping if everything goes according to plan, it should release by either the end of February to early to mid March.
So we will see in the future.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on this podcast, and we'll see you later.